And this is a conversation that we've been having a lot, because it's as if Trump is the new George Bush as far as the public's disdain for the politics and the policies of the two individuals. The biggest difference is the longevity of George W. Bush. A lot of people are expecting the same fervor and the same reaction to Donald Trump that we had against George Bush. And we've had a lot of folks come up to us and say, "Oh, where's the rock against Trump? Where's this voter registration movement? Where are all of these things that we saw against Bush?" And I just kind of like raise my hand and say, like, that shit took 3.5 years.
You know, I am proud to say that, like, we were some of the first artists that had any kind of reach, just as far as a long reach went, because we weren't in the mainstream. We were in the underground, but we still were seen on a lot of platforms. We were some of the first artists out there to say that what George Bush is doing is wrong, and to say, yeah, 9/11 was a horrible tragedy, but it's being used as an excuse to commit atrocities. We can't allow this one atrocity to be used to commit other atrocities in our fucking name. So it's time for us to step up and do something about that. So I was really grateful to be around Fat Records at that time.
George Bush was elected. We were still fighting his legitimacy as a president. I don't know if you recall, but like there's that image of the person looking at the voter card with the hanging Chad and whether or not the vote in Florida actually counted. We were having discussions about recall elections, and then September 11th happened. And so on September 10th, we were fighting George Bush. On September 11th, the world was forever changed. And to a lot of people on September 12th, it was as if George Bush had taken some sort of genius pill, and now we were all back on his side, and he was our leader, and we were going to allow him to invade whatever territory and country he wanted to do. And you don't fast forward from that 2000 election until March 2003 in the ramp up of the Iraq War. That's when the tide turned. And that's when you had 1 million people in the streets of London, 1 million people in the streets of Berlin, New York, LA, Pittsburgh. We had 500,000 people in the streets, and we have a population of 300,000. So figure that shit out. Everyone was mad.
There was a lot of bands on Fat Records at that time that just happened to be very political, which was kind of interesting because up to that point, that wasn't so much the case. I mean, there was Propaganda early on and Good Riddance. They were two just amazing bands. Around the George Bush presidency, there was Anti-Flag, Rise Against Me, No Effects. It was pretty crazy that all of a sudden it was just like, boom, these bands are here. Oh shit, here's this president, and he wants to start an illegal, unjust war. Oh, and unnecessary war. So it was an exciting time because it was a time where I think a lot of people in the punk scene looked around and said, like, yeah, it's fun to write songs about partying and having a good time, and there's a place for that. But where we are in our society right now with a president that is clearly overstepping his constitutional authority and a Congress that is abdicating their responsibility to keep him in check, it's really important for us as a collective of artists to step forward and say that this is wrong.
Zoom throughout history to the inauguration of Donald Trump, the Women's March that followed it, which was the largest demonstration against a president's inauguration in history. I would say we're ahead of schedule. So I think that there are a lot of similarities between the two, and their legacy will be that they rolled back regulations that protect our planet, that protect the poor, that protect the sick. Those are their greatest atrocities against American citizens so far. Donald Trump has ramped up the drone programs in the Middle East. The amount of U.S. soldiers who have died has gone up in just his short 1 year as president. But George Bush is responsible for the death of over 1 million Iraqi citizens. And that's something we'll never forget and never forgive.
Well, the mission statement for Anti-Flag in 2018 is the same as the mission statement in 2004. But we as people are different, so the way we approach it is different.
For me personally, I've had a lot of things happen in my life that have changed the way that it gets approached and the delivery of those messages. A great example of that is, joining Anti-Flag and kind of seeing the band almost as journalists, and that we see something, we report on it. This is our takeaway from the event, and this is what we think you should care about.
The mission statement was always to make a statement about injustice and the things that we feel are wrong in the world, and hope that the way that we made that statement would connect with people in a way that they would care about it and maybe act on it. If nothing else, it would connect with people in a way that let people who are being persecuted or people who are living under injustice know that there were individuals out there that were connecting with them and that cared about them and that had empathy towards them. So, for example, like on Die for the Government, we have a song called Fuck Police Brutality. We never believed that when we wrote the song Fuck Police Brutality, or when we play it tonight in Cleveland, that at the end of the song there will never be police brutality again. But what we do hope is that for people who have suffered at the hands of the police unjustly, that those people will realize somebody cares. I'm not alone. And it also hopefully will inspire others because they realize that they're not alone in thinking that this issue is something that we need to address, that those people will be inspired that whenever they see people taking action against this, that they'll want to become involved.
Going to 2007 when I lost my sister to violent crime and she was murdered, and I learned that I was able to interject myself into this commentary, and that other people would identify with similar stories or have similar experiences, and those shared experiences allow our empathy to have a much greater weight to it. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing, and we're always trying to grow as songwriters and always trying to grow as deliverers of these messages. But we learned a long time ago, because of our experience, because the fact that we've been in a band for, now I've been in the band for 20 years and the band's been together for 25 years. Because of that longevity, there's a lot of perspective that one record, one song, one show, none of these things change the world, but they do change people, and people have the power to go out and live better lives and thus change the world.
I think it would be very naive to start a band and say, well, if we start this band and we say these things, then this is going to be fixed. That's just not how it works. It's not how music works. But how music does work, and the way music changes the world, is that someone makes a statement, whether it's in music or art, and there's various ways of making a statement, but when you write a song and you make a statement, if it connects with people in the right way, it can inspire those people to go out into the world and act in a way different than they did before. And just that incremental change in people, and that change one by one, that's how the world changes, one person at a time.
And we're in a pretty easy situation. We played a punk rock band, like tonight we're going to play a show. There's going to be, I don't know what the Grog Shop holds, 400, 500 people, and they're all going to high five us and say, like, let's fucking get them. That's a great shot of optimism. People that work at normal NGOs or nonprofits and sit at a desk all day and are doing the tireless work to try to put their thumbprint on saving humanity, those are the folks that I feel for the most, because they don't get that effervescent shot of optimism of being in a room of like-minded individuals who care about more than just themselves, who have empathy for all living things.
From my experience and from my perspective, you always have to be true to yourself as an artist in saying what you're feeling. in saying what you believe. And how people interpret it in the end is ultimately up to them. The reality is that you will never, ever make everyone happy. And not everyone is going to receive the message that you're trying to put out there. So if you start trying to second guess everything that you do because you're afraid that these 3 people aren't going to get it, or that it's going to impact someone in a negative way that you didn't intend, then A, you're not being true to yourself, and B, it doesn't matter anyway, because not only have you betrayed what you believe in or betrayed the message that you're trying to put forward, but you're not going to win some other people over here. So you change it for these people, but then you lose these people. You ultimately you have to say what you believe in and what you're feeling at that time.
Maybe when I was 17, there was a lot of pressure to have the answer. Pat, our drummer, I did an interview with him together. We sat down and the kid said, hey, what do you think about this? This is what a plight of, we were in Skokie, Illinois, or wherever the hell we were. This is what's happening here. Our homeless population's out of control, blah, blah, blah. What are you going to do about it? And Pat said, I don't know. Educate me. I'm not from here. Tell me about it. And I looked at him and I was like, we can do that? We don't have to have the answer for everything? Like it was a huge revelation to me that we can just look at each other and say, I'm uninformed. Help me.
So what happens ultimately every show is show will end, we go out in the audience, we talk to people, and someone will say to me, I started caring about what the Bush administration was doing because of one of your songs. So right there, I have this tangible feedback saying to me that our music impacted someone and they got involved, just at least to the point of caring because of something that we had to say.
You feel this, like, these people are paying attention. Our connection is real. The power of music to bring people together, to find our commonality, to rise above divisions of race and social and economic status, male, female, transgender, gay, lesbian, what have you. That power really exists.
Who I was came as a result of the music I listened to. So it made sense to me logically that if we try to say something and we're able to connect with people, it could have an impact on who other people are too. So here we are today. Do I believe that as an artist, talking about what's wrong with the Trump administration will have an impact on people and make people care? It won't make everybody care. It doesn't have to make everybody care. What's important is that it will make some people care. And those are the people I care about. That's what's important to me. It's reaching those people.
That's something that we hope that people that come to our shows are looking for. They're looking for folks that feel the same way that they do, but maybe they don't know how to explain it.
Ultimately, though, there's also the side of empathy. And what's really important for me is that when it comes to women, people of color, LGBTQ, Muslims, refugees, immigrants, it's important for me that those people know that they're not alone. That there's people out there like me and a whole vast array of other people who that when this administration blows dog whistles in their direction, when they scapegoat them, whenever they persecute them, that we're not going to leave them on their own, that we're there for them. And, for me, this is very personal. When our friends and family come to us and say, as a result of Donald Trump being elected, I feel more unsafe, they are fucking more unsafe. We see the rise in hate crime since Donald Trump has become president. The world is a more dangerous place for them. So I think as artists and just as individuals, when we go out into the world, it's important that we send signals to those people that we're there for them.
Because that's what this is about, like when you come to the show with your same two friends and you leave with your same two friends, what do we get out of that? I bought a t-shirt or a patch or a button, or, maybe I saw a new band and that was cool, but that's not why this exists. This exists to build community and recognize our power as a collective, not just as individuals.
We want the environment to be a place where, as long as people show up and they're respectful to each other, that they know that they're welcome. And ultimately, in the end, when you go to a show, the show should be a good time. I mean, even if you're singing a song about something very serious, at the end of the night, everybody should have had fun. And everyone should know that they're included, and people should know that they're not alone.
These are all big ideas that are being discussed in that small room. And not everyone is going to know them, and not everyone's going to be aware of them. So our job is to just be like, hey, do you feel comfortable enough with everybody? Have you shook everybody's hand? Do you know everybody? Well, here's this piece of literature that I think is important. Maybe you'll think it's important too. It's not a, you're an idiot if you don't know this, or a judgmental thing. It's an actual discussion that someone is saying, I believe that this is important. If you've been a victim of sexual and emotional violence, we believe your story is important. Tell it to us. We're here to listen. And thankfully, we have these friends and these tremendous organizations who are out with us, because, again, we're 4 kids in a van that have been in that van for 4 weeks now. Like, we don't have all the answers, but hopefully we can put enough of the ingredients together, and something positive will come out of that.